Today I wanted to review my latest acquisition. This is a Tokai LS-75 Gibson Les Paul replica. For those of you who are not familiar with the Tokai brand, they're a company that's located overseas in Japan and have been known to produce some great quality replicas of both Gibson and Fender guitars. The company is located in Japan and has been around since the 1940s, and some of their earliest models are highly sought after today and collectible because people claim that some of the guitars are actually at par or maybe even better quality in terms of craftsmanship as the original brands that they're replicating or emulating. So for those of you who don't know, they're hard to find in Canada and the United States because of legal issues. Fender obviously has copyright restrictions on where they can sell these models, so it's a little bit harder to find. You won't find this at your regular corner store. You would have to probably locate one of these models online someplace, maybe eBay, or if there's a seller that's selling them on the used market close to you, you might be able to find one. I was lucky enough to find one being sold here locally, and I snagged it up for about $600, and I thought that was a steal because of the quality that you're getting for that money. Compared to my Gibson Les Paul that I purchased not long ago, I think the Gibson I paid over, I think it was worth, brand new anyway, $2,300 in the stores, and this one I got for $600, so it's even less than some of the Epiphone models that Gibson is selling, and those are made in Korea. Tokai makes their guitars in 3 different places right now. They have them made from the Japan plant, which is considered to be the higher end quality guitars. They also make some models in Korea, and some other models are now being released from China. I would be hesitant to buy anything made from China these days because of the amount of copies that you find floating around on eBay. Sometimes, you know, you'd say, well, this is a copy anyway, right? But you know, some of the copies are probably floating around out there are not even being made by the Tokai company. They're maybe just being made by some other company, and they're putting the Tokai name on them because they know that they're a little bit more valuable and they can sell them for a little bit more than a regular knockoff. So you got to be very careful when you buy anything from eBay, especially if they're being made in China. So I would kind of steer away from those. The made in Korea versions are quite good. I'd say they're at par with some of the Epiphone models. I had one and I was happy with that, and they're not very expensive. You could probably pick up one of those models for about $450 brand new. So when you get to the LS models, they have the LS-75, the LS-95, and I think they have 100 and something. I don't know what the actual number is on that one, but they're considered to be the grading levels of the guitar. So as you go higher in the LS numbers, they're actually better quality, and there's slight differences between them. This one is very surprisingly well put together, and I wanted to go through some of the features on it so that you know what you get for your $600. I also wanted to mention that there are some famous players that I have actually used Tokai models before. Stevie Ray Vaughan had used a Tokai guitar. You can actually see it on one of his album covers. I believe it's Couldn't Stand the Weather. I think that's the one. I could be wrong. You can correct me on that. But if you look carefully, you'll see that it actually says Tokai on it. And also I've seen pictures of Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top using a Tokai model. And it's surprising because he almost exclusively uses Gibson Les Pauls, right? So he's famous for his Pearly Gates model. So I was actually surprised that he actually owns Tokai. So that says something for the brand. Let me run down some of the features, and if you have any comments, by the way, after the video, please, you know, don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I'll try and answer your questions. And if, you know, there's something I'm saying that's not accurate, please correct me. I'm not an expert on everything, so, you know, I might have said something that's not necessarily correct, and you might know better than I do, so please correct me if I'm wrong. So for this model, the main thing I wanted to tell you is don't hesitate to buy it. If you can get a good deal on it, you're getting a very good guitar. The top on this guitar is made of solid maple, and it's not a veneer. It's actually a solid maple cap, and I verified that. I pulled out the pickups and I looked inside, and you actually have a top that's at least half an inch, maybe more, of solid maple. The back of the guitar is made of mahogany, and so is the neck. Some of the other guitars that you might see that are lesser quality might have a neck made of maple. This one is actually mahogany. And one thing I wanted to mention is if you look at the neck, there's no scarf joint on this. You know, some of the other knockoff brands have, you know, they find ways of putting them together easily and cutting corners, and that's one of the things that you have to look out for, is a scarf joint here, which basically means that this and this are two separate pieces that are glued together to save on wood, I guess, and it's less desirable. So you don't have that with this guitar. So as for the weight on this guitar, I'd say it's very comfortable. It's not light, it's not extremely heavy, it's right in between, and I'd say it's probably as heavy as my Gibson Les Paul, which is chambered. Now, I don't know if this guitar is chambered or not because I don't have that information. If any of you do know if it's chambered, let me know. But I find that the weight is quite comfortable. I don't have any problems with it. I don't like guitars that are extremely heavy, and this one is actually very comfortable. The hardware on the guitar, very nice. It's more classical. In other words, it doesn't have some of the more modern features. Like there's no hex bolts in here to lock the bridge and keep it from falling out when you remove the strings. It doesn't have the screw slots cut into the posts so that you can actually use a screwdriver to adjust the post. It's more classical. You have to use the thumb screw, but it doesn't take away from any of the, you know, the functionality of the guitar. It's just preference. If you like that kind of thing, you might want to pay extra and have those put in. But for me, honestly, I don't really need that. I find that the guitar works well just the way it is. The other thing is the pickup. So when I bought this guitar, the bridge pickup wasn't the original pickup. It was made by a gentleman at High Order Pickups. His name is Jeff, and the previous owner had put that in to the bridge position, and I really liked the way it sounded, so I didn't want to take that one out. And actually, the neck position pickup was an original Tokai, and I found that pickup to be a little bit more muddy, and it wasn't, it was a little bit too bassy for my liking. So I took that one out. I still have it, but I had Jeff at High Order Pickups make me a matching neck pickup, and I really like it. I find they're very balanced, they work well together. He also put on some really nice looking nickel covers for the pickup covers, which I like a lot better than chrome. It's more vintage, you know, it gives you more of that vintage vibe that I was looking for, and I really like that. So the pickups are really outstanding. For those of you who don't know High Order Pickups, look them up online. They don't advertise anywhere. He basically, you know, winds them himself. It's a one at a time process. Really good at communication. He sent me a bunch of emails to really know what I was looking for. Gave me some specification of different magnets and pull pieces and windings, different methods to wind it and stuff. So you really could get the right pickup that I was looking for. And the best thing is it only costed me with shipping maybe a little over $100 for a pickup of that quality, and you're basically getting a boutique pickup for not that much money. I mean, really, yeah, it's a no-brainer. So thank you, Jeff, for your efforts on this. I know I was quite busy sending you emails back and forth to get exactly what I wanted, but really the communication was super, and I would highly recommend these pickups to anyone. So check them out. Other than that, I want to talk a little bit about the neck on this guitar. So the neck on this guitar is not extremely fat. It's not, I'd say it's mid-sized. It's maybe a little slimmer than what I have on my Gibson Les Paul, but it's not asymmetric. It's really symmetric neck. Really good quality in terms of the feel. I feel that this is really comfortable. I don't have any issues with this at all. I'm not really a fan of the thicker necks on the Gibsons. I really like the mid-sized necks more, and this one really fits my liking. The wood on the neck is really rosewood. It's not baked maple or anything like that. It's real rosewood. You have nice grain to it as well. And the inserts for the fret markers are actually mother of pearl, and not plastic. So you'd probably see plastic on some lower end guitars, but this one actually is mother of pearl. The only difference I find with this and the Gibson version is that the frets don't go, don't get stopped by the binding like you would see on a Gibson. They actually go all the way over the binding, and I'll show you that close up. You'll see what I mean. So Gibson usually makes the binding cover the edge of the frets. The reason why they do that, I think, is to save on time, so they don't have to actually file down every fret, and basically they just cover it with the binding so that you don't have any sharp edges or anything like that, which saves them time and saves them money. These guys don't do that. They go all the way to the ends and they actually file down the frets, but the frets are filed down quite nicely. There's no sharp edges there. There's nothing that really would make you snag anything. So they're very comfortably done, and I'm very happy with the quality on that. The funny thing that I wanted to mention, and this is something that actually surprised me. My Gibson Les Paul has locking tuners. It's been plecked, and they have, you know, different features and stuff that they're supposed to modernize it. And but I find that they still have tuning issues, and Gibsons are notorious for tuning issues. They don't stay in tune all that well. It's a known thing. And so I was expecting this guitar to be the same or worse because it doesn't have any locking tuners on there. There's nothing fancy to keep it in tune. So I figured I'd be dealing with the same situation with this guitar. But surprisingly, this guitar actually stays in tune better than my Gibson. I can't explain it, and I tried to figure out what could be the reason for that, and the only thing I could come up with was, well, actually two things, is the angle of the actual nut here. This is a bone nut, and it's actually a lot squarer. I'll show you that if you can see that from the side view. It's a lot squarer than what you have on my Gibson. And I'm thinking that the Gibson nut might be cut at too much of an angle, and it might snag the strings. Also, the angle of the neck at the headstock is steeper on the Tokai than it is on the Gibson. So I'm thinking maybe that also has something to do with it, because the strings at that point have more tension at the nut, and maybe that keeps it in tune better. But of course there are other things in terms of tuning, like if the nut slots are cut properly, if they're too tight or too loose and whatnot. So it could be a combination of a few things. But I wanted to mention that because I found that to be quite surprising, in a good way though, because, you know, I'm happy with the fact that this guitar stays in tune nicely. The rest of the hardware on the guitar, like the pots and the knobs and whatnot, are good quality. The knobs are alpha pots that are installed here. The alpha pots are full-size pots. They have a nice taper to them. I don't feel any need to change them. And the knobs also have the knob marker, the metal knob marker, so when you turn it, you know what number you're on. I don't know if you really need that, but the older guitars had it, and I think it looks pretty cool to have that as well. More mojo, if you know what I mean. There's nothing fancy about the electronics. There's no PC board in here or anything like that. The caps seem to be like regular caps. There's nothing crazy. There's no bumblebee caps or anything like that. So, I mean, that could be upgraded if you wanted to. You can put in some orange drop caps, bumblebee caps, or oil and paper if you wanted to. But I mean, it's not critical for me right now. Maybe eventually I'll upgrade that. But, you know, that's a few bucks, nothing crazy. Other than that, I really don't have any complaints about the guitar. I really like it. I find it's overall a great guitar. I don't have to worry so much when I take it to a gig, and you know, when you take a $2,000 guitar with you, you're always worried that it's gonna fall, gonna get chipped or cracked or scratched or whatever. With this one, it's a player guitar, so you don't have to worry about that all that much. You can take it with you with confidence. You know it's gonna be a solid guitar. The neck doesn't, you know, it doesn't go out of tune. I haven't had to adjust the neck for the bow or anything like that. It's been dead on. The string height is really low on this guitar. I can go really low on it without having any buzzing, which, you know, sometimes could be an issue. And so overall, I'm very happy with my purchase. So I would encourage any of you to check them out if you can get your hands on one, at least to play it and just to see what they sound like. And I'm telling you, you're gonna like it. And you know, lately I've been playing this a lot more than my Gibson, just because, you know, I like it. You know, it's a great guitar. So you know, if you have any comments or any other questions about this particular model, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll answer your emails eventually. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. I'll have some other great videos coming. I have some videos in mind for some amplifiers as well as some pedals, and I might even do another review on these pickups exclusively. Also, if you want to hear this guitar, I will be doing another video where I'll actually be playing the guitar and going through its paces with clean, overdriven, and whatnot, so you get an idea of the dynamics of the guitar. But for those of you who can't wait, I do have another video already online where I'm comparing some Helotone speakers and some WGS speakers that I put up recently. For that sound clip where I'm doing the comparison, I'm actually playing this guitar through my through my Marshall Plexi using a Plimsoll overdrive pedal, and you can get an idea of what kind of sounds you get out of this guitar. So stay tuned, there's a lot more coming, and please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always happy to hear from you.